Welcome back to Health and Wellness here on Northwest Digital News with Jody Summers. And Jody, we put health kindness on the top of the screen here, so our viewers, so many people have been asking how to get a hold of Jody Summers. Well, it's right there on the top of the screen. Kyle's making it nice and visible for you guys. And Jody's actually going to share a few things here on the show today as well, that if you're interested in following up, you'll want to do so at the website that we've included above. So that's healthkindness.com on the top of the screen. Well, welcome to the show, Jody, and let's talk about Gallbladder Health.
Absolutely. Which, again, so last week we talked about liver health, and the gallbladder is so connected. Obviously, this image shows the gallbladder, and it's literally attached to the liver. So the gallbladder is a little pouch that doesn't really do anything. A lot of people think it makes the bile, but it doesn't. But the gallbladder is literally a little pouch that stores bile. And bile is, it actually emulsifies fat. So it's made with all sorts of different things from the liver, and it comes in and it emulsifies fat. And that's really all it does. And it's its own organ separate from the liver, because it is so important to have healthy bile for healthy fat digestion. So the gallbladder is a digestive organ, but one of the reasons why it is so important is because fat digestion does a couple of things. If it's digested normally, you have healthy bowel movements and you're not running to the bathroom after a fatty meal. But more importantly, even for long-term health, is it helps absorb fat-soluble vitamins. That includes A, E, D, and K. Well, D and K are needed, well, they're all needed for lots of things, but I just picked one example to show that D and K are associated with cancer protection and osteoporosis protection. What we find is that many people will have their gallbladder out and then be deficient in those nutrients, because it's not maybe that they're not taking in the nutrients, but the body, because the gallbladder's not working the gallbladder's not working because it's not there, but the bile's not working like it should to absorb those nutrients. What we see is some people who have their gallbladder removed have fat-soluble vitamin deficiency, which can lead to increased cancer risk and increased osteoporosis risk. So fat-soluble vitamin absorption is super important for long-term health. So the bile helps break down the fat for absorbing the fat-soluble vitamins. That's a lot.
You know what? Not long ago, Jody, I saw a publication, and I forget who the organization that put it out, but they talked about this vitamin deficiency that's been noted by medical experts all across the country. And there's 4 vitamins listed right at the top of the list: A, D, E, and K. I was like, wow, there's a little association here, isn't there?
Yes. Yeah.
You mentioned that vitamins D and K in particular are very important because of their cancer protection as well. I think about in our neck of the woods in the Pacific Northwest, people who don't get a lot of sunshine in the winter months and that sort of thing, and we actually use vitamin D supplementation in our family for that reason. But I've seen posts very commonly on social media from people around the country who are in areas where maybe they have tons of cloud cover and that sort of thing in the winter months, and saying that they're feeling very, not only flatlined as far as energy, but feeling even depression type symptoms. And so vitamin D has commonly been a part of that conversation. Your thoughts on that?
In that context, vitamin D is super important, but not just for the vitamin D, but because I was literally just reading an article in the bathtub last night. It was so interesting. I brought my phone in the bathtub. I know I shouldn't do that. Anyway, I was reading this article about multiple sclerosis, sunshine, and vitamin D. And And then it had lots to do with depression and anxiety as well. It's not just the vitamin D, but it is the circadian rhythm that is associated even in the Pacific Northwest, where the sun doesn't shine. It is still important to get outside even when there's no sun, because it helps. There's something with the skin, which I would love to talk about this at another time. There's something with the skin, vitamin D, and depression. And it's not just vitamin D, which is important, and you need to supplement if your levels are low, but it's also to do with the way that the sun, even under the clouds.
So let's talk about a healthy gallbladder. How do you know if you have one? What are some of the symptoms that the gallbladder is actually functioning properly?
Well, if you have a healthy gallbladder, there probably will be no symptoms. So that's a good symptom that there are no symptoms.
Right.
Because the healthy gallbladder just means that your bile is free flowing and smooth. It squirts out when needed. So your body is so smart that when you have fat on your tongue or you're eating fat, your body immediately releases bile to in the digestion process to absorb those fat-soluble vitamins and break down the fat. You will know that it's not working when some people have gallbladder attacks, which are extremely painful. And what that is there's gallstones, which means that your liver has been sluggish in the past, that form. They're like cholesterol balls, and they block one of the tubes where the bile comes out. And it causes, and it can be very, very dangerous. I mean, you can die if it's extreme. You want to make sure that you're having a healthy bile flow. So yeah.
Talk about some of the ways to take care of the gallbladder and make sure that it's healthy.
So some of the things would be high fiber foods, which again, are good for so many things. Beets. The redness of the beets. Actually, beets help thin the bile. And so anytime that you have a regular gallbladder, if you have your gallbladder, you want to take a supplement or have beets in your diet that helps thin that bile. Potassium-rich foods, milk thistle, bile salts. But here, one of the things that I didn't talk about is that when you don't have a good, healthy gallbladder and you're getting some of that pain, oftentimes what will happen is somebody will go to the doctor and they'll say, oh, I had a gallbladder attack last night. And he'll say, oh, yep. So he or she will do the scan. Oh, yep, you have gallstones. I want you to go on a low fat or non-fat diet. Okay. And we'll see how that happens, what happens for you. Well, the vast majority, when someone is put on a no-fat, very, very low-fat diet, this is what happens. Remember I said that the gallbladder squirts out bile upon fat. Okay? And you need it to be free-flowing to be healthy.
Right.
So instead of taking in foods that are good for your bile, like I just listed, beets, high-fiber foods, things that actually supplements that can thin the bile. Instead of doing that, what the no fat or extremely low fat diet does is now you've got the organ with already sluggish bile that's thick. And because you're not eating any fat, there's no need that the bile is then being called up to be moved to digest the fat.
Right.
Because there's no fat in the diet. Well, all that does is cause the fat to become more sluggish, causing more gallstones. Therefore, that is why we see so many people who have had an original gallbladder attack, lived through it, everything, are okay now, went to the doctor puts them on a no to low, extremely low fat diet, and then says, let's monitor it for a while. Well, you're making it worse because now you're not moving the bile at all. You're not making it thin. You're not moving it. It's actually just sludging it up more. And then you see another attack, and then the gallbladder is removed. During the time when you're working on health of the gallbladder, juicing beets, juicing carrots, taking supplementation that is gallbladder healthy is really, really important. And I'm not saying, don't listen to your doctor or go on a high-fat diet if you've just had a gallbladder attack. That's not at all. But when you understand that the bile needs to be thin, healthy, and flow freely, that is how it works best to break down the fat. And then now what you're doing is not moving it at all. You're setting yourself up for another gallbladder attack. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think when people understand how the gallbladder works in a healthy way, you're more likely to make healthy choices.
It's probably a bad analogy, but if you told your mechanic there was something wrong with the engine in your car and he said, "Well, just shut it off, and after a while it'll get better," it just sounds kind of dumb. Yeah.
You work on the new oil or the new something. You clean it up.
Yeah, there's something you're going to want to do to help clean it up. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned beets and beet juice. It's one of the things that we're going to have to add into what we do, because I think of different foods that we put in our diet regularly, and there's a lot of different ones, but beets is not one of them, so I learned something today. We're going to add that in as well. So how cool is that?
Well,
go ahead.
I did want to touch on, if we have a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So for those people who are having a suggestion, because I said something about a supplementation,
Yep.
For people who are looking for healthy bladder supplementation and don't like beets, don't want to juice beets, a lot of people just something they will not do. Mm-hmm. Biotics is a professional line, and you have to get it either from your doctor, from your chiropractor. If your doctor or chiropractor doesn't do those, or your nutritionist, feel free to reach out to me, and I will connect you on where to get this product. Mm-hmm. But Beta TCP from Biotics it has beets and some other products in it that makes for healthy bile flow. Mm-hmm. For people who have already had their gallbladder removed, there is a product, because remember, when you take the gallbladder out, mm-hmm. now there's no storage of bile, and it puts stress on the liver, because when people eat fat after the gallbladder is removed, the liver then needs to make bile on demand, mm-hmm. rather than make it and store it for use. Mm-hmm. So this is why when people have their gallbladder removed, oftentimes a large percentage of people, especially until they learn the way they should eat, is they will eat a meal and have to literally go for a very loose bowel movement within moments after eating the meal, because the fat's not being broken down and it's completely just being passed through. Mm-hmm. So if somebody has their gallbladder removed, they may want to consider a liver supplementation that helps break down the fat and support healthy bile, so the liver doesn't need to work as hard. Mm-hmm. So if anybody's
Makes
interested
sense.
in that, yeah, reach out to me, and I can, I'll point you in the direction of some really good gallbladder support.
Okay, so take the gallbladder picture off the back screen here, Kyle, so everybody can see the website. Go to healthkindness.com if you'd like more information on the supplements Jody was just talking about. She can help put you in touch with how to do that. Well, all great stuff as always, Jody. Great information about the gallbladder. And it's always been a curious thing, interesting thing for me, in that we hear about gallbladder surgeries all the time in the news. And it seems to be a very common response in the medical field. If the symptoms of the gallbladder become such, well, let's just take it out. And I'm much more of a fan of going, well, how do we take care of it so it doesn't have to go to begin with? Because you know what? Every single time a baby is born, they're born with a gallbladder. And you're going, well, there must be a reason for that thing, huh? Every single human being ever born has one. There must be a reason for that thing. Take good care of it. And as we've already discussed, you'll feel a lot better. Well, thanks, Jody, and thanks to everybody who joined us here on Health and Wellness with Jody Summers. If you have any other questions for Jody, you can find her at healthkindness.com.
This concludes today's live programming on Northwest Digital News. Thanks for joining us for this special broadcast. Heard around the world in more than 70 countries on YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, Facebook, and Twitch TV. If you enjoyed a story or guest we had here on Northwest Digital News and would like to strut your stuff on the broadcast, email us today at wainfo2017@gmail.com or call or text to 360-545-3501. We're always interested in unique stories, topics, and guests to share with our worldwide audience. Before you go, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up and comment on the live stream. And for those of you who'd like to financially support the broadcast, you can do so at patreon.com/Northwest Digital News. We thank you for your patronage. On behalf of Chris Bornstead, Kyle Torgeson, Stephanie Hunter, and all the people that made this broadcast possible, I'm Kevin Hunter. Till next time, take care.